Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 127. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I am one of your hosts, Todd. I've beaten Venom Oxtra, joined by Mark the Canadian Carabin.
Woo! How you doing?
I'm tired, man. Venom's a tough stuff SOB, man.
Yeah, and I've heard he doesn't have as many weaknesses this time around. And like in this game, it's not there's no fire, it's just sound is the weakness.
Exactly.
From what I
through
understand.
fire, you can't shoot bottle rockets at him. I mean, it's pretty much sound. Yeah. So,
Wow.
which they do have a sound power up in Spider-Man, which is pretty cool. So I will talk about that when we get into what we've been playing. But Mark, we survived Halloween. The Ghoulies. You were not grabbed by the Ghoulies, which you now know is a real game. So congratulations.
I was not. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and Chris, Halloween went well. You did some trick or treating.
Yeah, we had a blast. Finn and I went out trick-or-treating. My wife stayed here and handed out treats, and then we kind of rendezvoused here, and Finn loves handing out treats as well. So he was rushing to the door, still dressed in his little Jedi robes and everything, and just having a great time the entire night. Whether he was handing out treats or getting them, he was just having a blast and loved seeing everyone's costumes. And he threw off a couple of kids really, really badly when he opened the door to give out treats and screamed trick or treat to them. And they were just like, because it was like, like kind of almost teenage kids. So they were like just like staring like, do I give you candy? Why are you a kid? What is going, why are you screaming at me? What's going on? So it was very, very fun to watch him utterly confuse some children who were like borderline ready to just hand some candy from their bags to this toddler opening a door and screaming trick or treat dressed as a Jedi. It was pretty great.
Yeah, it's great when you have to, and I that was my favorite part when Logan was little. Just say trick or treat, and half the time he would, half the time he wouldn't, and it's like, okay, it's super cute. And then you would get scared by something, and it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, great times.
How's everything for you guys?
Oh, good. When you got an 18-year-old, you don't get to enjoy as many of those moments. But he had his friends come over. Actually, after they tried trick or treating, it didn't go very well, so they came and hung out in our basement. So it was kind of fun to have, some energy in the house. We watched the Goosebumps series on Disney Plus, which was a blast. So yeah, I highly recommend if you like Goosebumps. I think it's a good throwback to the original.
I've been dying to watch the series. We just haven't gotten around to it, and I really need to because Goosebumps was like my jam back in the day. If I had a Goosebumps and an Animorphs, I was set. So that's it. I gotta watch that series.
It's nice. Yeah, they do a really cool part where it's like a whole arc, but every episode is like a book. So like the Haunted Mask, and then you've got the Dummy, and so it's I like the way they do it, and Justin Long's in it, so he's always entertaining. He always delivers. So now we're in more like it's turkey time, and you just had your turkey time. We're having our turkey time at the end of the month, going out of town. So trying to get some gaming in before I have forced family fun out of state. So we should probably get into the gaming stuff really quick. But do you want to talk about the most important people on the show?
Do I ever? So we have to thank our Patreon, our Secret Friends squad. You can head over to patreon.com/secretfriendsunite right now and get a 7-day free trial to check out all the goodies and all the fun stuff. Since we last talked, I dropped my interview with Timothy Zahn on Patreon. So that hasn't even hit everyone's feed yet. Actually, I think by the time people are listening to this episode, that may be on the public feeds and all that kind of stuff. But Patreon supporters have enjoyed it for a full week, and a bunch of other great content that's constantly going there. So if you're curious, go check it out for the 1 week free trial. But the people who have checked out the trials and decided to stay, I have to thank. So our Friends with Benefits tier, that's Corey in HD, John Sadorth, Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, and the ever delightful Brendan Myers. who has shortened his name for this one, no longer trying to piss off Joseph Moran, which is quite kind of you, Brendan. BFFs. We've got Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias, Missy Merchant, and Andy Milliken. And Todd, we have to assign a power up to the aforementioned Brendan Myers.
Oof. Okay. Well, we'll see how this one goes because we know quite a bit about Brendan. He's been on the show. He's
Mhm.
got he has a young one. So, I think Mark, his power up will be because he has a little one as a parent, he has the ability to save anywhere, regardless of game, even if it's online like Fortnite, Mark. He can save
Love it.
online. Baby
Love it.
cries, has to be, put to bed, has to be fed. Somebody throws up, save anywhere. That's his
Save the
power up.
game.
Now, I don't know if that applies to like real life, like he just pauses everything, because that would be
Ooh,
really useful because like time
great
could
power.
just pause the whole family for an hour, have some quiet time. I don't know if he's that like powerful, but we'll at
I
least
think
start
so.
with the save anywhere in a game. Maybe it expands. He becomes all powerful.
I like it. I think that's great. And I'm picturing some like uh which X-Men movie was it where Quicksilver just doesn't really stop time but basically does and like saves the entire X mansion while it's exploding and just that scene's so great. But I'm picturing that kind of thing like projectile vomit from a kid and it's just like okay, freeze frame and it's like
We'll just
you're cleaning it up midair kind of thing. You're fixing everything and then it's like hey, unpause and everything's fixed before it even really happens. I love that. That's a great power. I'm leaning to another side of Brennan Myers, and that is the winter gamer side. I'm going straight up ice powers. Uh, I'm thinking my first initial reaction is like Sub Zero, a little violent for Parenthood. Once you started mentioning that, I'm like, oh, that might not be what I want. But you could also do the ice flower from Super Mario Brothers or something like that, I guess. But I'm leaning more towards just like permanent ice powers, Sub Zero style. Just like the winter gamer's coming out and he's bringing the cold brewskis, like just constant, ready to go. Let it snow. That's that. We're adding some more winter to the winter gamer. Um, that's my power up for Brennan Myers.
so he's got like refined controls, like he can chill the beer versus freeze the beer, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
He's instant master of this element for sure.
perfect.
Yeah,
All right.
Sub-Zero style. If he's, your Pepsi's a little cold, just a little cool. Kind of like Iceman in the first X-Men movie where he just like, cools the bottle for Wolverine. Um, that style or he just like freezes a whole city. Um, if you tick him off,
Instant
I guess.
instant snow day, no school,
That's
traffic
it. Yeah,
stop,
he
can't go
wants
to
a
work.
little bit more time with the kiddo. You're just like, okay, boom, snow day, kids. Let it snow, and let's hang out. So that's it. He's instantly entertaining. He has the best backyard ice rink on the block. He's got fun slides and things like that. Constantly great in the summertime, keeping people cool. Brendan Myers is the guy to know.
I love ice powers in games where
Mm.
you freeze an enemy, you slash them and everything, you slow them down. I think Diablo has that where basically um, I just love ice powers. I love them. They're great. I know everybody likes fire or lightning, but I love ice because you can like do crowd control, slow them down. It
Mhm.
gives you time. Perfect.
Yes. Yep. Perfect.
Yep. One update though, it's kind of a mixed bag. It's a great thing for Patreons, kind of bad thing for all. Well, not bad thing because we're basically going to have ads
It's a thing.
going into the podcast. It's a thing. Zencaster has changed their mode. They're basically making some changes, so there has to be advertisements within Zencaster. So the good news is Zencaster is a great service. There'll be ads. You'll hear those in the future. And they give you actually the discount on Zencaster is pretty awesome, which I saw, which is great if you ever want to get into podcasting. Zencaster is a great service for that. But If you don't want ads, being a Patreon means ad free. The Patreon RSS feed will get all the episodes free. You just check them out, you enjoy it, you do nothing else. As long as you've got that RSS feed, you're good to go. The public
Mhm.
feed that will have ads. So just it's another incentive for $2 a month. Ad free,
That's
all
it.
the extra content. I think it's a pretty good deal.
Absolutely, yeah. And just for reference for anyone unaware, Zencaster is what we use to record this show and every other one that we do. It allows us to record separate tracks for everyone. It's browser based. You'll hear all the rigmarole and stuff. But yeah, it's a great service. It's the best one we've found, and believe me, we searched. So this is the one that worked for us. And so when when they announced this, it was like, okay, what do we do? And this was the best solution for everyone. I think it's easy on us to do some ads here and there. Not going to be peppered in. They don't want it to be obnoxious or anything like that. It's just they get paid. We kind of get this service for the same kind of price we've been getting it at, and and everyone kind of wins. So there we go.
Yeah. And if you don't want to pay, once again, you get this for free. You just have to, listen to an ad, which isn't a bad deal. Maybe you find use
So
of Zencaster. So there we go. So Mark, we're changing up the order of things today because we got a big news story we got to cover, and it's going to cover a majority of the topics of this show. So we figure we're going to
mhm.
start with, surprising, we're going to talk about games first, what we've been playing. Woohoo!
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Wahoo! Mamma mia! Whatever. What else is Mario saying these days? What's the new
Uh,
catchphrase?
the new
Wowie
catchphrase
zowie?
for Mario,
Is it wowie
definitely
zowie?
Wowie Zowie. Yeah,
Okay,
that is it. That Wowie Zowie. Um, yeah,
there we go. So wowie
that's the
zowie.
one.
We're getting into gaming. So Mark, what have you been gaming?
Well, speaking of Mario, I just watched that movie again today. Finn wanted to watch it, so I was like, I'm not going to say no to that. Let's go, and we watched the whole thing start to finish. It was a great day. But I've also been enjoying Mario Kart's final DLC. Finally, um, this has been a long time coming.
10 years
Obviously,
in
the
the
game
making.
has been out since May of 2014, so pretty damn
Yeah.
near 10 years since this game was first released on the Wii U. This is obviously DLC for Super Mario 8 Deluxe on Switch, and it's fantastic. The new stages are awesome. There's new characters. Um, it's a great booster pack. And this completes it finally, and we finally got some news, some leaks possibly about the next Mario Kart game, which apparently they're saying is like the most expensive Nintendo game ever. Like they're sparing no expense. They're just going all out with it with this and the next like 3D Mario game. They're supposed to look amazing, play amazing. I'm guessing there'll
Switch
be
2.
tentpole titles for Switch 2, Super Switch, XL Deluxe.
Is this the
But yeah,
simulation Mario game where they get Ferrari and it's like just doing Forza Motorsport? It's like high, like you got to upgrade your car so you have right. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Like we're all going realistic now.
so what we were saying is if you watch the Super Mario Brothers movie, I wonder if they're hinting at some of the stuff that's going to come in Mario Kart 9, or I've
Okay.
heard the name Mario Kart X, which are they just skipping 9 and going to 10?
Well, isn't
They
9
do it
the mobile game? Like they say that's actually a core Mario
right.
game.
I guess that could be 9. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought they were pulling an iPhone and just skipping 9 altogether, but that makes yours makes a lot more sense. Um, But we were wondering about that today, and we were like, my wife and I were talking about the possibility of like destructible tracks, because in that game, like the blue shell not only takes out the person in first, but like takes out part of Rainbow Road while they're on it. So we were wondering like destructible tracks, damage to carts, that kind of stuff. Where do you have to slow down? Do you have to do something to repair your cart? Can you steal another person's cart like they kind of do in the movie? There's some like intense stuff. I don't know how practical some or all of that would be, but I think destructible or changeable courses would be really, really cool. And they played with that as far back as the Wii with Excite Truck.
Mm,
Depending on what you do, the courses would just kind of like change. So you might get like a terrain change here, or destruction of a mountain or a hill or whatever. So I think that'd be kind of interesting if they kind of built that into these stages and had that as a way to go. But I guess we'll see. For anyone unaware, Wave 6 of Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's DLC is the Acorn Cup and the Spiny Cup, which is a blue shell, which is great. So includes for the Acorn Cup, that's Rome Avanti from Mario Kart Tour. Like Todd just mentioned, that's the ninth game, I guess. Donkey Kong Mountain from GameCube, Double Dash, Daisy Circuit from the Wii, and a brand new track called Piranha Plant Cove. From the Spiny Cup, we have Madrid Drive, again from Mario Kart Tour, Rosalina's Ice World from the 3DS, Bowser's Castle 3 from Super Nintendo, which is freaking phenomenal. I love when they upgrade the Super Nintendo games tracks, because every other track you can see has basically been in 3D before, like full
yeah.
3D. The Super Nintendo ones, not really. They'd use whatever mode 7 or whatever it was called
Yeah,
back in the
the
day, and they
scrolling.
used some
Yeah.
cool kind of stuff. Like, it looked fine for the day, it looked great, but we haven't seen these courses in like full 3D like this for the most part, unless they were remade in past games. But like Bowser's Castle 3, holy crap! And then Wii Rainbow Road came back as the final stage, which I really liked, but made a mistake. I thought for some reason that this was the Mario Kart Rainbow Road track, that if you fell off the track, you landed on the moon. That must have been a different one,
Oh,
because I was like, oh, there's a hole in the track and you're supposed to avoid this hole. And I was like, I'm just going to go straight down this hole and land on the moon. And my wife was playing with me and was just like, what did you just do? I was like, tried to land on the moon. And she was like, that is not a thing in this course, you
uh,
dummy. So she just zipped
bold
straight back to
strategy,
first
Cotton.
and just like, yeah, bold strat, yeah, because going straight, it was like,
Yeah,
those videos of idiots going in roundabouts, and then instead of going around the roundabout, they just plow straight through it,
straight
right
through.
in the center. Yeah,
Yep.
that was this idiot. Because I just no head, like, zero turn. There's just a giant hole in the middle of the track that you're supposed to pick one
Mark,
way or
that's
the other to
innovation,
go
man.
around.
You're innovating. Take
Innovating
credit.
new ways to lose at Mario Kart. That's for sure. So these tracks are super fun. But they're also joined by other characters, which is really neat. So we had Birdo before. I think we had Kamek and Petey Piranha, maybe Wiggler. But for this round, we got Funky Kong, Diddy Kong, Pauline, and Peachette, which I thought was weird because it just looks like Peach with a kind of a mushroomy hat on. But it's supposed to be like Peachette is like a
A
toad
toad.
that put a power up on and turned into Peach, I think,
It's
is
not the
the
Bowsette.
kind of it's similar to Bowsette, right? Like it's
That's
it's
weird.
that kind of
They
weirdness. But like,
The next game has to be Nintendo Kart because you can't have 85 baby Marios and gold Mario and
yeah,
steel Mario. Make it Nintendo
yeah.
Kart. Just have everybody in
I
it.
really, yeah, I hope that's a direction that they go into. Um, And like, you could still call it just Mario Kart, and like Mario invited all these people over from all the other
Super
franchises. Like, who cares,
Nintendo
right?
Kart, like Super
Yeah, just
Nintendo World.
yeah, yeah.
I don't
It,
know.
it should be, but yeah, as final DLC for a game that didn't really need all this additional DLC, I thought this was an excellent addition, and I can't wait to play more, because we basically played one quick round so far, and that was it. So yeah, I really, I'm again, 10 years I've been playing this damn game, and it's like, okay, just give me, like, just let me keep playing it. I don't know. It's so
That
crazy.
better be backwards compatible on the Switch too.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
That
absolutely.
would
That
be
like that game would be a reason to hold on to the Switch if it's not backwards compatible, which it should be. But anyway,
yeah.
speaking of games I've been playing forever, I'm just going to finish this out by saying I've been playing Fortnite OG,
Yeah.
which has been just so satisfying, so incredible. This is the new chapter of Fortnite. It's kind of an interstitial kind of throwback chapter and a quick season. It's and it's not officially numbered. It's um, chapter 4, season OG. Like it's not season 5. It's not like it's just season OG. Um, but it's the old map. It is going back from like chapter 1. So again, we're on chapter 4. This is going back to 2018. I want to say chapter 1, season 5 is the
Wow.
map that they stole this from from the start, and they've been adding to it. So every single week, this is only a 4-week season, which is crazy. Um, the battle pass only has 50 tiers rather than 100. Everything is just quick, ready to go. But they brought back all the old POIs, tilted towers, like all that kind of stuff. Everything's back. They brought back the old weapons, hunting rifles, regular assault pump shotguns, all that kind of stuff. They brought back the grappler, the boogie bombs, even the old vehicles, the all-terrain cart, the shopping cart is back. Kevin the Cube is floating over Loot Lake. If any of this makes sense to you, let's play around. Hit me up. But basically, for anyone that all of that just like is going straight over your head, basically
Fever
they
dream.
just took everything back from 2018 and they're just giving it to all us players who've been playing the game since then or before. So I've been wearing all my old skins from back in those days, like all the stuff that like new players just don't have. Like you can't get this stuff. So I've been playing those like super rare skins that you can't get, which has been fun because people will hunt you the hell down if they think you've been playing since like, chapter or
Oh yeah.
like season 1, season 2, season 3, whatever. Like it's crazy. So we're coming in this week. I think season 7 or 8 is coming, or maybe 7 and 8 on November 16th, and that's going to bring planes. And if anyone's been listening to this show for a while, they know how much I love planes in Fortnite or flying in any kind of game. So planes are just deadly in Fortnite, and I love them so much. And then finally, this whole season is coming to a close with season 9 and 10, which they're kind of like remixing old events and like changing things around. So it's almost like they're messing, like we've gone back in time and they're messing with time, but every time they do, something kind of changes. So it looks the same as it did, but some things are different. And I'm guessing that's leading up to one of two things. I'm guessing it's either most likely a brand new map, potentially with some of the POIs kind of mixed in from the old map and some stuff that way that's, kind of a mix of old and new. Or I'm guessing this might be a new mode in Fortnite. It's permanently sticking around kind of mode. So we have zero build, we have regular Fortnite, we have all these creator controlled things. I'm guessing Fortnite OG just sticks around as another thing. So here's the new map, here's all the cool stuff, here's this, here's that. Here's, the OG map. Here's Fortnite OG. You want to play it this way, you can play it that way and earn some points or whatever. I'm hoping it sticks around because it's a lot of fun. The map is simplified. A lot of the stuff is really simplified. Like traversal and all that kind of stuff is. It was just kind of a simpler time back then, right? Like there wasn't as much to it. So it's really neat. It's such a great throwback, and I've been having just a ton of fun with it with my friends that I played with back in those days. My nephew's really enjoying it, and I just I'm really looking forward. Every single day they change up the item shop, and I'm enjoying even checking that because they're doing like remixes or new takes on old skins kind of thing. Like it's a really cool throwback for anyone that's been playing this game for a while. So if you haven't checked out Fortnite OG, if you haven't played Fortnite in a long time, if you played back in the day, you're going to love this. So again, hit me up, Jump in a squad. Let's play some Fortnite OG before it goes away at the end of the month. Um, it's been a ton of fun.
It's like WoW Classic. I mean, that's what they did. They
Yeah,
basically just brought
that's
WoW back,
100%.
and it's funny because now WoW is getting Classic is getting to the point where they did Cataclysm, which is basically reshaped, and it's people are like,
Mhm.
well, we don't want that. We just want to keep playing the old things. I'm like,
Just yeah.
it's so weird. I mean, Destiny's
Wow,
never
classic,
done that. Like, I
classic.
know Destiny
Yeah.
has struggled because people want to play it the way it used to be. And
Hmm.
for a large point, Destiny, you can't access the old things anymore. So I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of, like you said, I mean, Destiny goes back to 2014. Fortnite goes back to, 2018, 2017, whatever.
So
Uh,
17, yeah.
yeah. And then, WoW goes back far. It's like, it's kind of interesting because you worry about these live service games. They're always changing. So you never get to relive what you may have enjoyed. So I know a lot of
Mhm.
people are excited about the old Call of Duty maps coming back online too,
Yeah.
and so I don't know. I think there's an audience that people are getting nostalgic for things that aren't that old, but are
Yeah.
gone. So,
And that's like the proof is in the pudding. And that's why I'm thinking like if it doesn't come back at the end of this season, like I think Fortnite OG is going to be coming back because they've had
mhm.
their like you see reports of like they had their busiest day ever.
Wow. Yeah, 44 million people or something
Think
like that.
about that. Like their
It's crazy.
busiest ever. I'm not like
And
not
that's
big
without
like
mobile now, right?
events. Yeah. Right? And like that's not counting like the big events. That's including all of these things that have
Not
happened
Travis
like
Scott having a concert.
right, like Travis Scott, Ariana Grande, Marshmello, like all these people, all these events, like the Monster versus the Mech, like
Yeah.
these big events that were like crashing their servers back in the day, and they had their biggest day ever
And no
a
major
couple weekends
characters.
ago.
Yeah, no major characters launching. It's
Yeah,
outside
this
of
isn't like
Halloween,
a
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a Marvel season. It's not like what like
Yeah.
it's just Fortnite OG. They just brought the old map back, and 44 million freaking people tried to play on one day. That's insane. And it's constant. Like they keep having these like maybe not that record number, but like this is the most played season ever. And it's like okay, you guys gotta someone at Fortnite's gonna has to have that same idea of like, guys, we gotta keep this around. This has to be our WoW classic. Like it's crazy.
Fortnite keeps succeeding and people think they can make a game like that and they're just it's like chasing
Yeah.
waterfalls. Don't go chasing waterfalls. TLC didn't lie.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Todd, what have you been playing?
Well, I beat Spider-Man 2. It was the game I couldn't stop playing. I had other games to play, of course, in games I am enjoying heavily, like Alan Wake 2 and Super Mario Wonder. My son's gonna kill me if I don't finally play Cyberpunk. So, yeah, I just couldn't stop playing Spider-Man 2. I mentioned this on Secret Friends Unite. I kind of broke the rules of no video game talk because I mentioned the story specifically, not the gameplay, just the story
Mm,
of Spider-Man 2 and the Spider-Man games, Miles Morales. I think it's one of the best Spider-Man stories that has ever been shown. Maybe Spider-Verse is better, but I think, it's up there with the MCU movies with Spider-Man. It's up there with animated things. I think it's phenomenal. I love it. I love how they've captured both Peter and Miles and all of the characters, and they've remixed so many things that you're so familiar with.
mm.
Venom. I like their take on Venom. It's really good. It's probably the best take on Venom outside of the original comic book origin. It's wonderful.
Wow. Wow.
Um, they did a great job with Craven, and they did some things with Craven I didn't think they were going to. And one thing I'm like, wow, didn't expect that. That was pretty horrific. Um, it's great. I really love it. I love the side missions in this game. Um, I think, and the great thing about it, what they do, Mark, is they have like side missions and some characters brought in. If you don't play them, you're actually missing a big holistic storyline, which I think is phenomenal. It's not just doing like getting bibs and bobs, extra stuff for your suit, powering up your thing. There's actually a cool storyline for each bit. There's a thing with, and I don't want to give too much away, but the big theme of this game is redemption in a lot of extent for former villains and nemesis, which is great, which I really enjoyed because I think they needed to cover that. A lot of growth for Miles, and it's very fun to see some of those relationships. Same thing with Peter and Mary Jane. Um,
Mm.
I learned about um, New York music culture in this game. There's like a scene where they're
Interesting.
opening like his mom and the she's obviously official for the state of for the city of New York, and they're opening a culture museum. It's all about music, and there's this mission where you have to get Charlie Parker's saxophone back. Mark, I mean, how crazy is that? The
Very
combat
cool.
is amazing. The skill tree is awesome. The suits are crazy. I mean, there's the one suit I'm missing is like the animated suit from like the 60s where it's cel shaded.
Oh,
That was
wow.
amazing. They didn't bring that one back, but they brought in some other weird ones which are just crazy to see
Oh, I thought
Peter
you
and
meant like you
Miles.
didn't get it yet. You were missing, so they
No,
didn't bring that
well,
back.
it
Oh,
might
that
be there.
sucks.
That's true. No, I like unlocked like 50 suits each.
Mm.
So there's still more.
Wow.
There's like almost 120. And there's also 4 variations of color. So every suit like you can lock like a different shaders for every colors. It's crazy.
Wow.
I mean, every suit has 4 variations, which is just insane. And I love it. I think it's phenomenal. Yeah, so satisfying. The side missions, what you're doing, the traversal, it has the best fast travel I've ever experienced in a game. Mark, like you pinpoint on the map. In the past Spider-Man's game, you rode the subway, and it would take
Mm.
you there. And it had like an interstitial because it wasn't on an
Yeah.
SSD, so it was still like it was fast, but you're still. But those scenes were fun. This one, you just drop the pin on where you want to go, and as long as you unlock the area, I mean, literally in 1 second, you're flying in the city at that specific point. It's like
Wow.
seamless. And it's really cool because you also have seamless swapping between Peter and Miles. If there's a specific mission for Miles or Peter, just says, oh, switch to Peter, boom, you're done. You're back there and you're
Cool.
into it. It's really, I mean, Insomniac, with Ratchet and Clank and these games. It's funny, someone mentioned with Insomniac, they have made, if you count Miles Morales being kind of a cross-gen game, they have now made 4 games. Miles, Spider-Man 2. Oh, if I count the original Spider-Man, since 2018,
Mm.
they've made 4 games. Ratchet and Clank,
Wow.
Spider-Man, Miles, Spider-Man 2. They have Wolverine coming. I mean, they are a gem of a studio that doesn't lax on quality. And yeah, I mean, I love it.
So I do have one question for you based on something you said.
Yeah.
You said you didn't expect Craven to do something that, and it was brutal. Without giving away too much, if you don't want to do spoilers, and I don't care if you do say a spoiler personally, but just warn people that are listening if you want to. But I will say with the Spider-Man license, I'll use this in context. With great power comes great responsibility, and I'm thinking specifically of my nephews who played the first Spider-Man game when that first came out on kiddie mode or story mode or whatever the heck that was, right? And it was, for the most part, just kind of a cool Spider-Man game. I don't remember there being anything that disturbing, brutal, mature in that game, right? Where it would cause them
Yeah.
to not be able to enjoy this as like fans of Spider-Man. Is this game in that same bracket of something that can be enjoyed by someone under 13, someone under 18? Like what's the
Yeah.
cutoff with this? How brutal is it? Because I know they're saying like Wolverine's going to be a mature game. Are they what what direction, because we're it's not like we're getting other Spider-Man games that are for kids right now. Is a
No.
kid that's going to see this for Christmas or something going to be like, cool, mommy, yeah, it's awesome. Oh, this Craven guy just like slit the rhino's throat and put his head up on a wall. Like what's going on here? What's the maturity
Yeah.
level? Are they
So
kind of
the rating is teen. So
okay? Okay.
that is, and I'm just looking here, blood drug reference. I'm just looking at ESRB. Blood drug reference mild violence and language, or mild language and violence. So I don't know much swearing. Maybe it's just, your basic stuff that, you can do in a PG-13 film. No, no, there's no like one F-bomb drop, Mark, like your favorite.
Okay.
There's not that in here. But what I would say, it's a moment that happens in a cutscene that you don't see it happen, but it's
Mm,
so effective, it's almost like in your brain you can imagine it. So it's that
okay.
type of. But yes, I would say this one is not like Spidey and His Amazing Friends on Disney Plus.
Just yeah.
It's I would say, if you know your kid and they are like good with like PG-13, you're fine. Like
Okay.
an 8-year-old can handle some stuff. Logan was weird about certain things. Like, he didn't like stressful moments, but things didn't really scare him, but stressful things freaked him out. So I would say your mileage may vary with your kid. Know your kid. But like, I would think of like Sean's son Henry. He's on that cusp. He's not a
Yeah.
teen yet. He's a tween. And I think he could handle it. I mean, he plays Halo, he plays stuff like that. So I mean, I think
Right.
he's good. But yeah, I wouldn't show Finn like this game, because
Yeah. No.
he'd be like,
It's
Spidey,
yeah.
Spidey,
I was
because it's
thinking more
scary.
for
The
Henry's
Venom
kind of
character
stuff.
is,
I would.
yeah,
Yeah.
this take on Venom is absolutely like scary. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really effective. Um, and
Yeah.
the story with, you've seen it where Peter gets a suit, but I will say there's more to it than that.
Okay.
And when I started seeing like things on Twitter, like, oh, Peter's stepping down, or Peter or Miles is going to be the new Spider-Man going forward. I'm like, shit, what happened? And I hadn't beat the game yet,
Mm,
so I'm like, I didn't know what they meant. So now I know what they meant, so I'm good to go with that. But yeah, I
all right.
cannot recommend this game high enough. I love it, and it's actually nominated for a Game Award, and I went through it. I'm pretty much. I mean, I could go back and clean up some stuff, but things I left behind were the missions I didn't enjoy. It's like the
Right.
chase missions, which I hate chase missions. I think I'm good. If they do bring in DLC, there is New Game Plus after. I mean, you can do that, and then you can also clean up after the game, which is fine. But I think I think I was like 87% complete, so I got my money out of this game.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. Cool.
And then I talk about a game that's not for kids. That's Alan Wake 2, Mark. Holy cow! This game is. I finally found Alan Wake. But the first boss encounter, I would say, it's anxiety. I mean, you'll get anxiety because you're in an enclosed space, and you've
Mm,
got this enemy that, at first I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing this right, because I feel like I'm gonna run out of ammo, and then I have no way to defend myself or take down this boss. So I'm like, what the heck am I gonna do? Well, it accounts for that, I think. And I didn't adjust the difficulty down. I'm like, I'm gonna man up. I'm gonna get through this. Uh, you know, and I did, but it was scary. I mean, this game is far scarier than the original Alan Wake. And
wow.
what they also do in this Alan Wake game is, it's parsed between the two characters, Saga, who's the FBI agent, which is pretty cool. She's like investigating the crime, trying to figure out what's going on. And it's really nice. I really like that, like, profiler FBI thing. And then Alan Wake gets brought in, and there's this really weird thing, Mark, where he's part of like a talk show where he's a guest on the show, and it converts to live
Interesting.
action. So like the actor who plays Alan Wake, which you see his, digital version, it
Mm,
looks exactly like, I mean, like, is that
wow.
the digital version? And he's being interviewed by this one host, and it's really funky. And then they've got a character. This is how deep it gets. So Alan Wake was writing a novel about this detective named Alex Casey, which is the actor Sam Lake who played Max Payne. Alex Casey is in this game. He's like, yeah, you named your character the same name as I have. So Sam Lake is Alex Casey. He's also in this game. It's so like mind blowing, and it
Wow.
gets
All right.
deep into like the layers and some of the imagery. Mark, I'm playing on my PC, so my monitors, I'm only like 2 feet away from it.
Right
I'm
there.
not used to that. When I usually play scary games, are way like 5 feet away, 6 feet. So it's
You got some
really,
running distance. Yeah.
oh my goodness. I feel like I have to sit back because I'm like, this is too intense. and I'm like, wow, I feel it. This game is really intense. People talk about this game is far scarier. The combat's similar, but I think they add some things that make it a little bit more challenging, and I'm really impressed. I hope I can beat this before game of the year is, when we do our determination. We have till the
Mm,
end of the year to play all our games,
yeah.
which is great. We've got time. But I'm enjoying this because I do want to dip in. I want to finish Mario Wonder. I want to play some Mario RPG. But yeah, I'm going to finish this up, and
I
I'm
got
in.
yeah. I got some bad news for Mario RPG this tonight actually this evening. Um, I am not going to be playing that one. I might be playing it before the end of the year, but I've been told not to buy that one.
Oh, what does that mean, Mark?
That means that my mother found something that I want that isn't $450 smart Ray-Bans. And she's like, don't buy that. Please don't buy that. I need an
So
idea for
wait,
you for a
so
gift.
wait 6 weeks.
That's it.
Don't get to
And
play what you want.
I'll get it for free from my dear darling mother. By the sounds of it, she's like, is there any games? I was like, well, there's one coming out in like a week or two, and I was like, I can't wait to play that one. And she's like, don't buy it. It's like, crap.
I
Okay,
put
fine.
RoboCop on my list.
See, I should have done something like that, like a little bit,
Some
something like I
goofy
kind of
game.
want to
Yeah,
play, but not like,
you
but
can
like
wait.
I
Yeah,
stupidly said Super Mario RPG, and she was like, do not buy it. You're not allowed.
yeah. That's like the
And she
last big
like
game of
even
the year.
looked at
Oh,
my
that and
wife. She was
Avatar.
like,
Could have put
yeah,
Avatar
I
on
didn't
your
see
list.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm hoping that Ubisoft might hook us up with Avatar. We'll see.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, that would be cool.
but yeah, I mean, like I got, that's how I got Mirage.
Yeah, and that's Far Cry
So we'll
6,
see.
and yeah, and we
Yeah,
got that with our friends when we played our game of the year a couple of years ago.
yeah,
Phoenix.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's my good news, bad news about Super Mario RPG is it might not make my game of the year playlist unless I can really drive through it over the holidays. We'll see.
See, well, yeah, we got some time. We got no
Yeah.
stress, no stress. I did want to say I did get Call of Duty in the mail, so I'm gonna check out the campaign for that. I have heard less than positive things. Apparently, this game
Yeah.
they only gave them 16 months to develop it. Not
Crazy.
great. Yeah, so
No.
we'll see how that goes. I always like it. It's a roller coaster ride. It's fun. I don't do the multiplayer. Although if there's zombies, I'll try the zombies. Oh
Oh
well.
yeah.
With that though, Mark, let's get into some news. The first news story is the Game Awards, which is coming up the first week of December, which apparently it's a 50-50 chance, Mark, that the next Grand Theft Auto game will actually be announced and a trailer will be shown. I don't know.
Whew.
It could be it here, or they could just have their own event right before the Game Awards and say, screw you, Jeff Keighley. I don't know. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one series that can really just do whatever they want whenever they want to. So it'll be interesting to see
Yeah,
that.
so the Game
Yeah.
Awards, I mean, it's probably the premier awards in gaming at this point. There's the BAFTAs
Oh, yeah.
overseas.
Yeah.
Other game awards exist, the GDCs, things like that with the game developers. But this is kind of like the one for everyone. This is
Yeah.
I don't know if you call it the Oscars of games. Maybe it's the Emmys of games, the People Choice Awards. I don't know. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's big. 120 critics are involved in this. They select the nominees, and then they choose. Jeff Keighley does not actually get involved with the actual selection. He just lets it go. He's the host, and I appreciate that. There's lots of
Yep.
categories in this, Mark. But a couple key takeaways I wanted to give you. It's
Mhm.
streaming. It's no longer on Spike TV. Which, sorry, Spike TV. I don't know if you exist anymore.
Spike TV, that's a throwback, man. I don't
I
think that network
know.
exists.
Yeah, with the
Yeah,
shit Quattro
that's
Man or
good stuff.
whatever.
Yeah,
Some crazy things. Some weird hosts too.
come
Joel
along.
McHale. Yeah, bring Joel McHale back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the funny part was the most nominated publishers. Nintendo,
Mm,
15 nominations. PlayStation 13, 10 nominations for Xbox's studios, which they include Blizzard now. It just happened.
right.
Epic Games, 9 nominations, 8 nominations for Capcom, Larian, Square Enix, 6 nominations for EA, and 4 nominations for CD Projekt Red and Riot Games. And then the most nominated games, 8 nominations for Alan Wake 2 and Baldur's Gate 3, 7 nominations for Marvel Spider-Man 2, 5 nominations for Hi-Fi Rush. That's great news for a small game that, had
Yeah.
not been talked about before the year began. Uh, Super Mario Wonder and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom both got 5 nominations. That's why Nintendo
Wild.
has 15. 4 nominations for Cyberpunk 2077, that's impressive too for a game that people just wanted to kill. It's
Yeah.
back because of their expansion. Final Fantasy 16, 3 nominations for Resident Evil 4 and Street Fighter 6. If you noticed, Mark, there were just too many good games this year because there's a lot of
Yeah.
games that are just not even on this list, and this is just the most nominated. It's not every category.
Mhm.
It's pretty
So
impressive.
I do want to pause for a second and talk about the game of the year nominees. And that's the only one, like we can go through the rest of these later, but like the game of the year nominees, um, just kind of highlight exactly what you just said, which is Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, holy crap, what a year. I do have to laugh a little bit at Super Mario Brothers Wonder just because what is it, like 3 months ago we didn't know this damn game even existed. Like Tears of
Yeah,
the Kingdom, we've known. Spider-Man 2, we've known. Like so many of these games were so like long in development and long awaited and like just feverishly just anticipated by
was that
fans.
announced
Then
at
you
their
have
like June show, or when was it announced?
uh yeah, it like like very recently.
I know, it's like
Uh,
I mean, it surprised everyone when we saw it. I can't remember which show it was. It was at like an off-season Nintendo Direct?
June 21st is the Super
Okay,
Mario Brothers Wonder official announcement trailer on YouTube. If someone wants to double fact check me, that is a very,
that
very
makes
quick
sense.
Google
That
search
was like,
of like
are they
June
gonna be at E3?
21st.
And Nintendo's like quiet, and then like a week after E3, "Hey, we're having an event."
like like June. They announced this game in June. It just came out and it's Game of the Year nominated.
Perfect. Love it.
Come
I
on.
want more of those. I want more of those.
Like we waited 6 years for Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep.
And like not even 6 months for Super Mario Wonder.
Nope.
Just wild. But it's a phenomenal game, so I can't even argue that it should be on this list. But it just makes me laugh.
So, Mark, looking at this list,
Yep.
is there anything you feel like, wow, that should have been on there?
Mm. For me, this is a very personal one for me, but I also feel like they kind of improved every aspect of this, and it was a phenomenal game. And that would be Jedi Survivor.
Oh,
Um, I thought that was yeah, I really thought that was a big step up, story wise, gameplay wise. I thought that was an amazing game. Um, yeah, that'd be about that'd be the biggest one for me. Would be would be that. I mean, you could keep going with kiddie games. Like I thought Pikmin was amazing, but I'm sure that would be more like in the family game categories and stuff like that. Like I don't know if that's game of the year kind of thing, but like it grabbed me a whole lot. Um, Trying to think of like specific to this year what else I'm missing. But like, yeah, I that's gonna be the big one for me is Jedi. What about yourself?
it's interesting because I think outside of Baldur's Gate 3,
Hmm.
I will have played all of these games, which makes me feel pretty good. I
Amazing.
got good taste then,
Yeah.
right? And I'm really curious about Baldur's Gate 3. I'm like, "Oh, I don't like turn-based games really," and, those deep games where there's a lot of text and small characters on screen and too much choice. I don't know, but I'd love to
Hmm.
try it out. So a couple of surprises, I would say Starfield, not really. I think it's only nominated for
Yeah.
one award.
Wow.
The Dead Space game, that remake got really lauded, and it was perfectly awesome, but
Hmm.
maybe just not enough new. Whereas like RE4 got on there, which I played. Um, But yeah, those would probably be the ones that I would call out. I mean, Final Fantasy 16, I liked it, but I knew it had faults and it wasn't for everybody. So I'm not
Mhm.
surprised it's not on that list. But as I go through the rest of the games, I think, I think they got it right. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
hard the one that made me laugh, Mark, was best indie game. And people have called this out on Twitter. Dave the Diver is published by Nexon, which is one of the biggest publishers in the world. People didn't realize that. It's like an indie, it's a small studio. It's like the EA their indie thing, but it's
Mm.
still
Yeah,
EA
yeah.
funding it and everything. So people are like, it's not an indie game. They're all calling it out. I'm
Well,
like,
okay,
oh,
but so the yeah. But, like, I know, like, so for one of those, like, EA games,
mhm.
like, one of them was made by Zoink, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't
Yes.
it? Like, so, like, it was
Well, like
still,
Yarny, yeah, there was a couple other. I think
like,
maybe.
they were still developed. It's still an indie studio. If there's, like, a big publisher saying, like, "Please take some money so you don't have to worry about keeping the lights on while you make this artsy kind of game." Like, I still think if it's an indie studio, if it's backed by some big money, that just means the studio can relax a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's still indie. I get what people are saying, but, like, calm down.
Yeah, well, I think that somebody made a good point. We just need to really rename the like a category, like best small game, maybe, where it's like just like under
Yeah,
under 10 developers or at 10 staff or something. Because you get
right.
so many of these awesome games, like one person was behind it.
Yeah.
I can't remember the one game that was it Tunic? They had one developer.
Yeah, Tunic was one dude,
Yeah,
pretty
so maybe
much.
that's what we need
Yeah,
to do, best small game, regardless of who is funding it. I mean,
yeah.
the achievement of doing something awesome despite all the odds is pretty
Mm.
amazing. I mean, let's say. So yeah, I just thought that was funny because people are getting into it. I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, so we'll see how that one shakes out. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. I mean, there's a lot of great games, and people are saying this is like the best year in games. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean,
Hard
very
to argue
rarely do
with
you
the
get
list.
Mario and like a mainline Mario and Zelda game.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you get a Spider-Man type, AAA game. Very rarely have you seen Xbox, Nintendo, and Sony all put
Mm.
out huge games in a same year. So
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we'll get like, the fun part about the Game Awards is people complain because it's going to be a lot of trailers, probably not enough time for the nominees. Um Somebody's going to come on stage, do something dumb. And hopefully we'll get some good performances and some goofy things, and we'll find out some awesome games for 2024. Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencaster. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencaster is now the all in one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web based podcasting solution, provides high quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencaster because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencaster has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencaster? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencaster. Log in using your browser and start recording a high quality podcast right away. Record studio quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of Zen knowing Zencaster's multi layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencaster's post production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So, if you're interested in making an easy, high quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencaster.com/SFU and use our code SFU, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show. Yeah. So Mark, this is really the where the rubber hits the road. This is it, Mark. This is the part of the show where we transition to the Zelda movie cast.
That's that's it.
That's what it is.
Everything else is geared towards Zelda from now on.
That's right. That's right. So, I think at this point, where were you when you heard about the news? When Miyamoto said, "My friend Avi Arad and I are making a Zelda game." It's
Uh,
so
I
bizarre.
was I was thinking I was being punked is where I was. I was waiting for Ashton Kutcher to come out of a closet and slap me for getting my hopes up that this was real. But like what the hell? Just a
That's how you know.
random announcement of just like like what was this? A tweet or something? Like it was just like the
Yeah.
stupidest freaking thing. Like I saw it was on like Instagram when I saw it. I was scrolling through and I think it was from IGN. Otherwise, I'd be like, oh, he's some clickbait bullshit. But it was like an IGN thing saying like this is legit. It's happening. Zelda live action. Like what? What? And then I fact checked it on several things because I still thought IGN was being like, oh, you guys are just silly. It's not April Fools. It's November. You know, like it was just what? I don't even know.
It's very bizarre because everything we thought was going to happen with the Legend of Zelda. We've heard the rumors because Super Mario Brothers, the movie is huge, $1.3 billion. It's huge. Nintendo's got a theme park. It's embracing the cross media elements of its franchises. It's like, oh, what's going to happen next? Oh, we're probably going to get a Universal Studios animated film with the Legend of Zelda or another property, maybe Pikmin or whatever, Animal Crossing. And that's what's going to happen. That's what they're going to do. They're going to partner with Universal. They
Makes sense.
pivoted and said, no, we're going to partner with our friends over at Sony, our deathly rivals. Avi Arad, who has made, brought Spider-Man to the silver screen, but also was, made the Uncharted movie happen, also made Venom and Morbius. So a mixed bag at best. uh,
Yeah.
Nintendo is funding. They said they're like the majority funder of this. They are Sony's going to handle basically the production and distribution of this film. So maybe it makes sense because Universal, when it comes to their live action, I'm trying to think like Jurassic Park, Fast and Furious. I mean, I don't know if that makes me feel better that they would give live action to Universal with those properties. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you're looking for box office totals, I think I probably still would have stuck with Universal.
You want Vin
Um,
Diesel as Ganon?
okay, I'm not saying casting wise, but I okay,
or or Goron
better
maybe?
than
I
Marky
don't know.
Mark. I don't I like. I
It's
think
true. It's true.
um,
Um,
yeah, yeah, because I mean, like you just said it enough. Like they've had success with Spider-Man, and then I like the Venom movies for what they are, but like they're not good. You know what I mean? Like
no,
they're a
no. The first one
throwback
was
to
a B
bad.
movie. If
Yeah,
they said I'm making a B movie, I totally get it. Second movie, I'm like, I don't think they're even thinking they're making B movies anymore. I think they're just like, we're getting money and we'll make something for you.
yeah. And then I still haven't seen Morbius, but any clip or thing I've ever heard from it is just horrendous.
I will.
Um,
I will. I will. I'm probably the only apologist for Morbius, Mark. I think the first half of the movie isn't bad. It's
okay.
when they go full in, like, oh, we're a superhero film, and then like
Mm.
it just goes off the rails. It's like you got Matt Smith doing a weird dance, and yeah, it's bad. It gets really bad after that.
Which apparently he'll deny if you ask him about it right now,
Oh,
because I know
really?
someone
He
who
likes a
had the
paycheck.
opportunity to ask him about that, and it was
He
yeah.
likes a
There's
paycheck.
what do you mean? I don't know.
Yeah. So
Um,
so the director is going to be Wes Ball. He has done the Maze Runner films, which I know that it's a mixed bag of like those teen YA films. He also is directing the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which movies which is coming out that looks pretty good, and it's
Looks
part of
good. Yep.
that Planet of the Apes series that launched at Fox. It's being written by Derek Connolly, who wrote Kong Skull Island, which I really loved, Jurassic World, and Detective Pikachu. And he also worked on a first draft, which would become Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker with Colin Trevorrow, which
Okay.
is titled Star Wars: Duel of Fate. So I
Trevorrow's
don't know if you know any of that.
I was
I
just
don't
gonna
know
say
any of it.
Trevorrow's was really, really a cool
Yeah,
draft.
yeah.
Okay. So we worked on
And then
okay, all right, okay.
Avi Arad is producing this, but I think he's part and parcel with Sony though. When he like
Yeah.
he's like the guy that adapts things. Um, Yeah.
Hmm.
And then yeah, so with that, and that's about all we know. So that's where we're going, Mark. So no date, no nothing else, no idea of where they are inspired. But Miyamoto
Mhm.
said Nintendo is full on involved. This is not going to be like their past live action things where or their cartoon stuff where Nintendo wasn't an active participant in it. So I don't know. I don't know what to think.
Yeah, I that that one particular line makes me less anxious after seeing the Mario movie, knowing how hands-on they were with that one. I'm slightly less anxious for this one because Nintendo's not going to mess around. They're not going to give this. They're not going to let some focus group in Hollywood or something say like, yeah, Link has to have a sword for a hand, and he has to have a machine gun for the other hand, because like
He
men
drinks
like
too
machine
much,
guns, and this
and
is
he lost his
yeah,
wife in the war.
yeah. Beetle just follows him around, giving him energy drinks because this movie's also sponsored by Monster. So I think Nintendo knows they have to keep these movies on track. They know they have to keep their characters sacred, for lack of a better term, or whatever. Like they yeah. I think I have some faith that this is still gonna be good. Although, like, there's a lot of weird stuff to be like, just like who he's directed, what he's written, what he's this is who's produced what. Like, it's some weird stuff, but I have high hopes that they're gonna do it right.
Mark, I'm the fantasy guy. That's my
Yep.
genre. I love fantasy to pieces. The fact that we ever had any decent fantasy
Mm.
films or live action TV series is always a surprise to me because it's typically done poorly. Goofy, over the top tropes. Look to the Willow series on Disney Plus, horrible. Not good. And I was so hopeful because I'm like, oh, they're going to be able to do it right, but they didn't because it was on the cheap. It looked cheap. They had some weird mixed uh, production values. So I am curious because what I don't know about Miyamoto is when he originally thought of the Legend of Zelda, like, did he have what specifically inspired him from a fantasy lens? Was it Lord of the Rings? Was it something else? Because there wasn't really a lot of touchstones of fantasy work at the time,
Mhm.
back in the early '80s. I mean, there was Excalibur, King Arthur, things like that. I mean, and there was like movies like Dragon Slayer, things like that. And so I'm thinking,
Mhm.
is he like? So what is tone does he want to go with? Does he want to go with like Game of Thrones? Does he want to go with Lord of the Rings? Does he even the Wheel of Time series on Amazon Prime? I think it's really good, but it's once again these are all like more mature, like I would say hard fantasy. I don't know a lot of like light fantasy, which is really good. So that's where I'm like concerned. I'm like, I don't know where they need to go. But and someone had brought up this actually, The Hobbit, which is a light fantasy book,
Mhm.
and that feels like it's more of the tone of Zelda, where it's light.
Yeah.
You've got like hobbits. that are light, they're goofy, they like to eat and things like that. So I'm like,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking, well, maybe that would be the tone with the Peter Jackson Hobbit films, which people didn't love, but I thought those were a lighter touch. Martin
Yeah.
Freeman was great, and it had a goofy tone, and you could play with like Radagast and things like that. So I don't know. I mean, and I will say this: I don't think people thought Peter Jackson would make the Lord of the Rings based on his past films. His previous
Yeah.
films to that were all like horror, gross out films. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's why I'm getting ready to give the director some love, like the Russo brothers who made
I was
Avengers.
just gonna say that
They
is
made
yeah,
like Community episodes, so
yeah.
I don't think you'd say, oh, they made that, so they're going to do that, or oh, they're going to bring in Tom Holland. I don't want to subscribe to like because of this you can just equate to that. Although, did
Yeah,
you did you see the fact that they released the new Garfield trailer and we've got our
Chris
new
Pratt.
Garfield? Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, I did.
can we just tell Chris Pratt don't do animated voices anymore? Stop, please, Firehead.
Yeah, you mean his own voice? Um, I d I mean, my first thought when I saw Sony and who was producing this, I did think Tom Holland, though, just because of both Spider-Man and Uncharted. Like, if you want a big Hollywood name attached to this in some way, Tom Holland's got the Link look. He's got the action chops. He's athletic. He's a good actor. He's very well known and gets along well with the studios and can kind of lead a franchise. I hate to be on the Tom Holland like cat because I would love actually Link to be like relatively unknown. I saw someone and I can't remember. I wish I remembered who or where I saw this. Someone pitched Link as being more of like a Native American casting kind of thing,
Hmm.
which would especially be interesting as someone charged with protecting, if they go the kind of knight route, charged with protecting this princess who would, be more of like the British royal kind of thing. And then there's, so there's real world kind of class history or racial history in those castings as well that could kind of be even subtextually explored within that pairing. So I thought that was super, super interesting. And I really wish I remember where I read that. But, uh, so as much as I'd love something like that to happen, I think we also have to realistically look at like, this is the studio and the or not maybe not the studio, but this is the company that cast Chris Pratt as the voice of Mario, and specifically for like that star power appeal. And yeah, Tom Holland's got to be top of those lists if you're looking at it in that way.
Yeah, I saw a note about the director said something about if we're gonna make a legend, and this is like back in 2013. He's like, oh, if I ever would make a Legend of Zelda, which is funny because it's like you go back and like, oh, he actually said if I ever made a Legend of Zelda movie, I would want to be inspired by motion capture like Avatar, which
Mm,
for certain things, I guess it would make sense if you're doing like the Goron and things like that. I
yeah.
mean,
Oh,
real
absolutely.
actors, things like that. Even like Zora. I mean, you think of those characters and they could do. Um, I was thinking, Mark, this is, I don't know, just watching Timothy Chalamet on SNL. He is a very pretty man, but he's young. He
Yeah.
looks Victory. I think he would be a hell of a Link because I
Yep.
think he plays young. Which I
Hmm.
know, and people say, "Oh, it has to be a 14-year-old." Like, have you seen a 14-year-old before? They are little and tiny, and
Yeah.
I don't think it works. I think you go
Well,
like
do
a
you ever?
19-year-old, right?
Yeah. Do you ever see that picture of the two leads from the Hunger Games?
Oh
What's
yeah,
her name and the other guy?
yeah,
But it was
Jennifer.
pictures of
Yeah,
them
PETA
when
and
they're actually, yeah, so like in the
yeah,
books or whatever, they're like 14, 15 or something like that, and when they actually filmed it they were in their 20s, and
yeah,
it was like here's these 20-year-olds playing like these 15-year-olds, and but it showed two pictures of like, here are these leads when they were actually the appropriate age. And it was like, those are just children killing each other. And I was like, that's
Yes,
the effing point of the book. But like the movie
exactly.
didn't really, like you get it a little bit, but like not as bad as that would. But like,
Very
so
rarely do
that's
you get,
that's kind of
yeah,
your point. Yeah. It's
yeah.
like,
Very rarely do you get like younger people playing younger people. You get people that
yeah.
look young and they can play it.
Yeah.
I mean, Tobey Maguire was like 85 when he played Peter Parker.
We're watching Dairy Girls on Netflix right
Oh,
now,
yeah.
and great show. But like, two of the high school girls are my wife's age, and that's like pretty close to my age. And I'm like, they ain't in high school anymore. Like,
No,
just like,
nope.
it's just like
Well,
just is what it is.
it's like Gen V, one of the main characters in Gen V. He was just on like he was on the Sabrina show, and he's on it now. He's supposed to be like a college junior, and I'm like, he's probably like 29, 30, and he's playing someone who's 21. So yeah, it
Yeah.
just it doesn't play out. But the other person I was thinking like for Zelda was Millie Bobby Brown. I mean,
Ooh.
British,
Yeah.
very good actress, and she wants to do
Yeah.
different roles. And she actually has a new movie coming out that they showed on Netflix called Damsel. Where actually, she's playing a damsel who basically is the sacrifice to a dragon, and is trying to survive getting eaten by a dragon. Which, I'm like, hey, that's a kick-ass Zelda we'd like, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Um, yeah, I'm down for that. That's some great casting.
So Ganondorf.
Um,
Do we do Ganondorf or Ganon? Do we do a pig monster? Do we do a big, broody, swarthy man with a top knot?
the answer is yes.
A pig with a top knot? I don't know.
Pig with the top. I mean, no, I mean you get like, and that's the thing. Like, what story are they gonna go? Like, are they gonna go right back and tell the first story? So they're gonna do Skyward Sword and have you say Avatar. This guy wants to make an Avatar movie. What's more Avatar than the Loft Wings as a fill in for the dragon bird
Yeah.
things that they fly off in Avatar. Um, so I wonder, yeah, but it's so that I guess it would. But if I'm casting Ganondorf, man, the first one in my mind is Jason Momoa. He's
I was
big,
thinking
he's
Dave Batista.
imposing. Oh, Batista could be good too.
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna be made
Yeah,
up anyways, I mean,
yeah, yeah. Momoa, I instantly thought of him for the hair. You're gonna do the hair up. He's just, again, he's that big, imposing kind of dude. A little bit of gravitas to him, and he could play it a little bit lighthearted, but also like charming and that kind of stuff. But like
yeah,
also just really go Carl Drogo on the thing and just go Game of Thrones.
wow. So with that, Mark, I think the last piece is, um, to your point. I mean, you said which game do you go with? Do you
Yeah,
do basically like the Mario movie? That was basically not canon to anything. It was just like all the
yeah.
pieces of Mario coming together. Um, and I'm trying to think of like any, and trying to think of like the most video game movie in this type of setting we had, and that is Warcraft. Did you ever see the Warcraft film?
No,
So I would say
no.
it's fairly, and I know far less. I mean, I remember when that movie came out, Joe Moran came on because he's a huge Warcraft fan. We talked about it, and he was disappointed. But when I looked at it, I'm like, they nailed the orcs, they nailed those
Mm,
things, and they kind of blended all of the mythology together into a kind of reasonably close story to the mythology, but it still was a tough thing to crack for like the normal audience. It was huge in China, but apparently not. So, do you think there's a right game to adapt?
I don't know. Like Mario's so much so much easier to do a canon reboot because the story in Mario games has never ever mattered. But the story in Zelda games matters more, a little bit at least. And there's, man, I don't know. I think
Are you sure?
adaptations of
Because
some of the
remember when
stories.
Nintendo said, like, "Where did all of the Guardians go?" We don't know. They just went away.
That's why I said sometimes. Like,
Sometimes,
it's
yeah.
it's
Like
just
the Hyrule
they,
Historia, it's like, which version is it? It
yeah,
doesn't matter.
I don't know.
You care, we
But
don't.
they've been more in depth. They've been more important to the Zelda franchise than story has been to the Mario franchise, which is giant angry
It's
lizard steals princess.
yeah. It's themes.
Fix
It's
this. It's
themes
themes. Yeah, yeah.
versus like specific hardcore facts.
Hmm. So I personally would gravitate towards more of, I think honestly, a an Ocarina of Time. It's the one I think most people associate with Zelda. It's the most, arguably, I think the most well known Zelda. So, like Breath of the Wild, sure, whatever, sold a lot. I think Tears of the Kingdom's great, but you were not going to make a movie based out of that first. It would be probably Breath of the Wild. Um, but I'm thinking from a cinematic point of view. From you had mentioned the story of Zelda, like where inspiration. Miyamoto grabbed inspiration for this from his own childhood, being a boy, exploring in the woods, hillsides, just letting his own imagination run by, exploring caves and forests and that kind of stuff. And probably picking up sticks as swords and that kind of stuff that you do when you're a kid. So for that kind of vibe, I think the forest, the kokery kind of stuff in the first part of Ocarina of Time could really play well. And I think you cast a younger kid as Link to start, and that's when you grow up, you get the Tom Holland or the Chalamet or whatever, and you have that second part of the story. So I think from that perspective, I think you could capture a little bit of that whimsy, and the first part could be a little lighter. The first part could be, I'll say, the Hobbit crossed with the Goonies, maybe. I don't like, for that part of
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I can
fun
see that. Yeah.
exploring in the woods, a little bit lighter, and then you just have this tone shift of, now it's Tom Holland as a knight with a sword, just ready to go kick some Ganondorf ass. Like, I think that's the most entertaining story. I think that's the one, and self-contained. It's
Yeah.
um, not way, way, way too long. It's you can kind of run through Ocarina now if you kind of golden path the story pretty movie like, I think, in time. Um, yeah, I'd start with Ocarina. What about you?
I think you go back to the original Legend of Zelda. I mean, use it a baseline. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
elements, and you can build around it and add elements of other movie or games to it if you want. But I mean, it starts off there. I mean, you know, grab this. You'll need this. It's basically
Do
Merlin the
this, yeah.
magician giving
Yeah.
him Excalibur right in the beginning of the game. So you could play with elements of that. So that makes me think that it's got some Arthurian legend feels. You've got like some a classic villain. You've got Mordred the magician, things like that, which are kind of lied into like a big bad, and Morgan Le Fay, and you know. So I think that's where you could go as a
Mm,
baseline, and then go what elements and characters and other things that could lay it out. Because one of my favorite games is still Wind Waker, but that's a little
mm,
complex. I think just because you go to it and Ganon and Zelda and the relationship and the kingdom is flooded, and that's the biggest
mhm.
part. Typically, is too. It's like, oh, is it current state or is everybody dead and you're bringing it back? So I mean, how do you make it a simplified story that isn't too complex?
Yeah, and I think doing Wind Waker, because I'd love an adaptation of Wind Waker, but I think doing Wind Waker before something like Ocarina, uh, then you have to explain, oh, like Hyrule was buried in this and whatever. And
Yeah,
it's like, well, if you do Ocarina first, then you could say, hey, remember the place from the last game?
yeah,
Like that place is underwater now.
yeah,
Here's this new kingdom, and that place still exists. It's just underwater. It's protected by, this magic, whatever, and you can, eventually go there. And then they go back and they're like, oh my god, that's the place from the first movie. Um, so I love the idea of the first game though. I love that because it is. more
It's
Mario-esque.
clean. It's
You
clean.
can, yeah, you
Very
can
stripped
do a
down.
lot more. You can have those little, like the Mario movie style throwbacks of like, hey, I remember that thing, or hey, so you get someone saying like, take the, it's dangerous to go alone, take this. You get, um,
Moving
you
things,
know,
blowing up bombs to reveal passageways.
that's it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I like that.
Even have a rap
Mm.
in it, Mark, because you know what? You need a rap. Like the old commercial.
Yes.
Yes. Which probably leads us into we don't know when this movie's coming out. It's so far away, like me and Noah said, we just want to get it right. So I love the fact that he's involved. That's where his new role is. He's basically making sure his visions of his characters are getting treated well by Hollywood. So love that. Can't wait. But Mark, something I can't wait for, and it's Buy Rent Return. This was your
Yeah.
suggestion, so I'm going to leave it in your able hands.
Sure. Yeah. So when we knew we were going to talk about the news, we knew we were going to do this for the bonus round, and that's why the show's all mixed up. It's all confused today. But I think, um, obviously, you're figuring that out. Why? Because we couldn't talk about Zelda movie characters, which is what we're going to be talking about right now. Before we started talking about the Zelda movie, so the buy rent return is must have weird Zelda characters in the movie. So who do you want to see? So obviously we're getting Link, we're getting Zelda, we're getting probably some form of Ganondorf evil representation in there. But then there's some other characters, some weird ones that have maybe appeared in one, two, or several uh, Zelda games, but it doesn't make them any less weird. Who do you want to see? We've got Tingle, we've got Beetle, and we've got Navi. So there are options. There's a lot of weird characters in Zelda. I want people to throw out, if these three aren't on their list, throw out your weird guy. Is it the sell something with C guy from Ocarina? Is it that weird little
The sign
fella?
man.
So I mean, the male guy, I want to see the male guy. Just someone just tearing ass across a field. You think Link's fast on Epona? This guy just zips past with his letters, and he's like, "Okay, I got to get to my
Candygram.
next delivery." Yeah, right? Like I want to see that. Just some dude tearing ass, and you think like, "Oh man, he's racing a horse." Okay, this is a weird thing. But with the three we stuck to, Tingle, Beetle, and Navi, we got Brennan Myers, the Winter Gamer, buying Beetle because he's such a nice guy and isn't annoying. Yep. Rent Tingle just long enough to buy the maps from him, then return him, and throw Navi in the depths of Death Mountain because she needs to stop bothering me.
Hey,
Brennan
Mark.
Myers not messing around.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Todd,
Listen. Hey,
listen. Hey,
Mark.
listen.
Listen. Mark.
Man,
Listen.
yeah,
Could I be your?
I'm
Could I, could
listening.
I be your Navi? Just it's my voice
You,
though. Hey, listen.
you're my fan
Hey,
cast, Todd.
listen. Who
That's my
knew?
buy just so I can start that campaign
That's
that
Chris
you're
Pratt.
casting
It's
the
just going to
role.
be Chris Pratt as Navi.
Perfect. So Todd, I came up with this. I want you to go second since Brennan Meyer went first. What are your choices here?
Oh boy, I'm going to zig when other people zag. I am buying Tingle because Tingle is magic. I mean, and I'm like, who would play Tingle? And Tingle is just such an oddity. It's a weirdo. I'm like, it's like Andy Dick. It's the Dean from Community. It is Zach Galifianakis. It is. I mean, it is
Yes,
all of those combined.
that one. I want Zach Galifianakis. Holy shit! I did that. Like not even on my radar. Yes.
And it will be so weird that people will be like, I don't even know what just happened, but it'll be like the big character that breaks out. So everybody is talking about
Yeah.
Tingle
Oh
time.
yeah. Yep. 100%.
Then I'm renting Navi because that's kind of like your Tinkerbell. That is kind
Okay.
of like could be useful to the audience to direct them to be kind of the connection to direct people where to go, could be cute, could do all these things, and they could play it more like a fairy than just the kind of the normal ball that you see. Could be more to it. They could play it up and actually give Navi an origin that is a character. We could see it. So I think Navi's a
Mhm.
rent. Could find its use
Okay.
and move on.
Yep.
And then Beetle kind of like just doesn't do much. I mean, nice, he's selling you stuff, but I mean, maybe he's the return, but he's just there. He's just that cameo you see Beetle shop, and you move on. So maybe that's
Right.
his role. You
Yeah.
just see Beetle shop. He's sitting there. He looks weird. He's got the weird long nose, and that's it.
I'm gonna second your opinions completely, which is
Hmm,
a rare occurrence, I think, for us. Uh, yeah, long distance Zencaster
high
high five.
five.
I love your casting as Tingle. I just really want Tingle to be just all out weird, just the weirdest thing. But like you said, there's the opportunity to cast a perfect Tingle. I think would be way more celebrated than the casting of. It'd be almost like Seth as Donkey Kong. Like because you get that laugh and like people are making like fan edits of like him over the old '90s Donkey Kong CGI cartoon and that kind of stuff. Like you can get, I think, a
So you're
lot of
saying
hype
Beetle's
around
just going
like
to turn into like a stoner?
yeah,
He's like, "Hey man, I got your
yeah.
stuff."
So I think Tingle's so weird that I really want that. I really want to see Tingle in live action. As terrifying as I think that could be, just like
It's like the Joker. When the Joker in the Dark Knight shows up, it's like
yeah,
everybody stops and pays attention.
yeah, yeah, terrifying. Just a man in a very tight leotard.
Lycra
I just
bodysuit. Mark,
yeah.
why weren't you
Um,
Tingle for next Halloween? Tingle.
all right, liquid diet starts today, folks. Thanks. Uh, um, Second, I'm gonna do Navi just simply because I said that I want Ocarina of Time as my first movie of choice, and I don't think you can do Ocarina of Time without having Navi in it somehow. Maybe not as annoying as she is in the games, but I think the whole thing of Link not having a fairy until he has a fairy is a very important crux to the game, and I think something that could be explored, like you said, Todd, a little bit more origin story of Navi, a little bit more story about where the fairies come from, how they pair with the children of the forest and that kind of thing, and why Link doesn't have one, maybe how he feels about not having one or whatever it is. And then I think, yeah, Beetle, I think is a fun little cameo, background cameo. It's like one of those things in the Mario movie that they run past and you're like, hey, did that just say the thing? And then you got to watch it 3 times before you realize it's like, oh, yeah, that was a punch out reference
It's
or that was a thing. It was
Leonardo
whatever. Right?
DiCaprio meme.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, hey. So, yeah, I think, yeah, I love those choices. I'm just gonna mirror those completely. One
I
thing
love
we
it.
haven't talked about in this, and I do want to go back. Maybe probably should have mentioned this in the bonus round before we got into this. Um, should I don't think they're gonna do a Zelda movie without having Link talk. I think that would be a very interesting choice, and I think if they did that, would they cast an actor who is hard of hearing, who does use sign language, something like that, make it authentic, stick it to make that a central part of the character, or just a part of the character. That's here we have a character who just doesn't talk. They, for one reason or the other, maybe they use sign language. Who knows? I think that would be an interesting kind of thing. I don't think they're going to go that route. I think we're going to have a character who speaks kind of like Mario didn't say "wahoo" through the whole movie of the Mario movie, and didn't talk in the "hey, it's me, I'm Mario." Didn't talk in that high pitched kind of voice. They did it for that fun
Slightly
commercial at the start
racist
of it,
Italian tone,
and yeah, and then they switched to Chris Pratt voice basically. Um,
which is New
d-
Yorker. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Do you think do you wish they would cast someone in the role of Link who, even if they cast Tom Holland, just hey Tom, shut the hell up. Do you think they should do minimal voice and just have him say a few things, or do you think they're just gonna just go all out and just be like, yeah, you know what, Link talks now. He talks now. He talks now. It's a Star Wars reference for
And he
like
says,
they fly
"Excuse me,
now.
princess," because you know that's
Yeah,
that's part of the
right.
canon. Yeah, yeah, I think we should do that. No, I think the best video game character that I've seen and it's been in live action to take a note from is The Witcher. Geralt
Mm,
is a man of few words. He's like Clint Eastwood. And the man, he says a few things, gets his point
mhm,
across. Because Link is conveying things to people. We're just not hearing him talk. So it's not like he doesn't have the ability to convey language, and it's not like you
right.
see him sign. So he's doing it. We're just not hearing him. And there's been other games that like we have silent protagonists, and they still have dialogue options, but we just never hear them speak. So I think you need to have him say and convey things, but it doesn't have to be like he's a man of too many words. He should be a
Mm,
man of succinct points. He is impactful with whatever he does say, and that's it. He is kind of gruff, which
all
is
right.
weird because you've put him in like he looks kind of like what's the best word to put this like slight and kind of
He's a he's a gruff Legolas, is what you're saying.
exactly,
Like
exactly.
that manly,
So exactly. So
manly elf.
I think you let other people be the elements of comedy or alliteration and evocation around him,
Mm,
but he says enough that he gets across what he wants. I always thought it was weird. It's like, I have so much to say, but I'm just going to be saying nothing. And everybody like, oh yeah, you did all of these things in very elaborative
mm,
terms, and this is what you want to do. And it's like never happened. So I think that's what I want. And I think because the link to the player in a game, I totally get that we had that. But in a movie, you do need a
mm,
character that does convey something at least to everyone else. Because I think they'd have to add a canon that he is a character, and Miyamoto has never said he's a character that doesn't speak because he can't.
right.
It's just never been conveyed because of technology and things like that. And Miyamoto says story has never been his forte, so he doesn't put any interest in it. So now he's giving it to people that do have that as their forte. So I think that's appropriate and it makes sense. And he's going to make the choice, and then we just have to deal with it because it's his choice. He created the character. We can't say that's not right. We don't agree with him. So Anuma
Yeah.
would never let that happen. I mean,
Yeah.
and when Yodo says Anuma set up, I got this.
So we get Tingle following him around, basically just being his bard and speaking for Link, and just tossing a coin and so on. I think that's Tingle's role in this movie.
Oh yeah, he's the one that like goes in all in, and Link is like, yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I like it.
yeah, yeah. Why not? Why not? Let it happen. Let the dice fall, and we'll just accept it. Hey, we got the Pikachu movie. Ryan Reynolds was Pikachu.
Yeah.
Jack Black sang a song about Peach.
Yep. It happened.
Everybody loved it. They didn't think they would.
No. No. Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. I think
I
a
am
lot could go
too.
wrong, but so much could go right.
And I think, Mark, that's the whole point of our bonus round now is to say, well, this is the movie we're getting, but it doesn't mean that's the only thing we're ever going to get with Legend of Zelda. So when they come to us, you and
Mhm.
we pitch our idea, and this is what's going to happen next. We get the live action film, and then we get something different because you can't just have one thing. It's going to be Zelda films for the end of eternity, Mario films for the end of eternity. So they need ideas, Mark. And that's where we come into play.
Mm. All right.
So, Mark, what Zelda movie would you make? Director, tone, style, cast? Would it be specific on a? Would it be specifically tied to a game? So, what would you want, and what would you say needs to happen?
I after this one. So okay, if I get my wish, and this first movie is Ocarina of Time. The next one that I'm making, you give me the reins. I'm calling up. Um, I'm calling up Gore Verbesky or
Ooh, the Pirates of the
Verbinski.
Caribbean.
That's
Yeah,
the one. Guess what movie I'm making?
you're making Wind Waker.
Freaking Wind
Oh,
Waker, baby.
oh, you stole
So I'm getting.
mine.
Oh shoot! I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, no,
Okay,
no.
no.
Go
You know what?
ahead.
No, you go off on it. I'm gonna.
No, it's okay. We
You
can
go
have
off.
different spins on it.
All right. Okay. Because I was my second one was actually going to be Minish Cap.
Ooh,
I
I
think,
like that one.
but I'd like that one to be animated. I'd like it to be more um, like light and I'm almost leaning more towards like Studio Ghibli,
Mhm.
um, like that kind of animation.
Yeah, like was it Nausicaa of the Valley?
Really,
You could do Princess Mononoke. You could do. There's a
very
new one that just came
whimsical,
out. Yeah.
very Japanese looking. Um,
Or what's the
yeah.
one that was? Oh, the one I always blank on, where it's the little girl who goes to like the night village. Where it's the is it
Oh, sugar. The night. Some. Frig. I can't remember. Um. Anyway, I my so yeah, my if we're both going to go on Wind Waker, I'm tempted to that one. Now I'm trying to like you've got me completely like on my Studio Ghibli kind of
Spirited Away?
Spirited Away. Okay, that's the one you're thinking of.
That was the one that I was thinking
Um.
about.
All right. Yes, yeah, I'll let you take Wind Waker then, because I'm gonna go with this one. Although I don't know, like, and that kind of leaves me blank for like who directs these and like who would I give it to and all that kind of stuff. Um,
Well, I will give you the concept of Wind Waker
okay.
because you're going in a different direction than I would. So I'm going
Oh,
to
okay.
take
Cool, cool.
something from the Wind Waker. You do Wind
Yep.
Waker with Gore Verbinski. I want to hear it.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean that would be it. It was the tone style would be very swashbuckling, very fun, very pirates esque. I think this would be just the pirates movies kind of like went off, and we haven't been getting them. There was talks about a reboot with Margot Robbie. I think that's kind of either paused or maybe completely canned.
Mhm.
There's been talks about getting Johnny back, but then that was like the everything. Um, so I don't. It sounds like he'd be up, but like for the time being, we're not getting a swashbuckling pirate adventure series anytime soon. And I think even if pirates did come back, there's room for another one that might not be as zany as Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, but there's still some room for some fun, interesting characters that you could take from that game. Zelda isn't a damsel in distress for most of this movie. She is a kick-ass pirate captain, and I think there's just a lot to explore in that game. I think it'd be really, really fun, and you get a cool ship that's also a cool, also a character. Again, I think you could tie it into whatever the first movie is. It doesn't have to be Ocarina. Whatever it is, it's under the ocean, right? Like that's the thing, right? The and you start to see that the movies are connected. That the movies are um, this long timeline of connected. The spirits of these people from the first movie live on in this second movie, even though it realistically takes place hundreds of years apart or whatever. Um, the cast, I would, and that's one thing I would completely mix up most of the cast. I would recast Link, I would recast Zelda, but I would also keep the king and I would keep Ganondorf for those connective tissues. I think you have to have, this is a new Link. Maybe the spirit of Link or the name or whatever it is has lived on. Same thing with Zelda. Spirits have lived on, but it's like basically like a resurrected Ganondorf, and the king is just the spirit of the king who's been protecting the realm underneath the water all this time, and the voice of the ship, which would be a cool connective tissue in between movies and that kind of stuff. So I think I'm sure that would be a controversial take, especially if the first one makes $1 billion. And it's like, great, thanks, Tom Holland, you're fired. And now Timothy Chalamet has his moment in the sun. Sucks, but I'm hoping that they have that planned out, and I'm hoping that they're open to that, because then you're going to get like, why is it the same Zelda but supposed to be happening 400 years apart? This doesn't make sense. What's going on? And it just gets weird.
I think if they parse this right, Mark, they can talk about, in a way, the fact that Link is always going to be essentially regenerated, or whatever the term is.
Mm,
Basically, he's the hero throughout time. He always comes back, and he always kind of like Doctor Who is the best way to put it. Um,
mm,
he regenerates. He comes back. He is telling a new story with a different focus, but the themes remain the same. And maybe I think that can handle it well. And it's funny because you mentioned that. I think of like, have you seen the One Piece show
yeah,
on Netflix?
so
I
good.
think that's kind of cool because it's like it's well received, and the tone is a little goofy and fun and looks good, and it's like, could that work? It could, but
Yeah,
we'll see. Um,
yeah.
my my idea is I want to be having live action films, but also animated films. And if they are going to do live action is Sony and Universal is going to be animated, I want Toon Link. I want Toon Link
Mm,
to be, so that's what I'm saying. I'll take Toon Link and make him, whether it's the Link to the Past, or sorry, Link Awakening, Link's Awakening, the last one, where it's like
yeah.
toyetic, he looks interesting,
Hmm.
or use the cell shaded Wind Waker version of
Yeah.
uh, Zelda, and do that and make it maybe a TV series that you
Hmm.
put on Netflix or something like that. Because I don't think everything has to be a 2 hour movie.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a lot of fun because then you could really draw it out, play around with some things and add into it and make it multiple seasons. And then you
Yeah.
could potentially say, we're going to cover, Wind Waker. We're going to cover Oracle of Ages. We're going to cover all of these different things and maybe ape different animation styles that play
Hmm.
with the game styles as well.
Well, Wind Waker alone opens up several storylines. So you can
Yeah.
do an animated thing with Wind Waker, tackle Phantom Hourglass, finally tackle Spirit Tracks. I mean, you've got a lot to chew on just with that storyline across multiple seasons. So one season or 2 seasons can tackle Wind Waker, one season can tackle Phantom Hourglass, and one final goes on Spirit Tracks, and then you continue it if you want to. But um, that's such a brilliant idea. I love that, especially that timeline can kind of just stand on its own for the most part.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna go with the director would be the director that did Sea Beasts on Netflix.
Oh
It
yeah,
was a very much like a
excellent.
Sea of Thieves looking type
Yeah,
of film. Really wonderful animation, and Netflix has really done some good work there. And I think
yeah.
that where they can really ape different art styles to manage the different takes on the Zelda, different versions of it from the different
Mhm.
consoles and different art styles. So I really like
That's
that. Um,
Chris Williams. He did Big Hero 6, Bolt,
yes,
Moana, or
yeah,
co-directed
cool,
Moana. Yeah,
perfect
awesome,
movies too. Awesome
perfect. Yeah,
tone, loves
those
it.
water,
Yeah,
Moana, Sea
exactly.
Beast.
Water,
Great.
just the tone, the comedic, the heartfelt, elements of it. I love it.
Yeah,
And then I think this is where you bring in voice actors. Um, that can really nail it versus like known names in Hollywood. So I think you bring in like I'm trying to think of like the actress who did Ahsoka in, I think she's a really solid voice actor when it comes to animation. Is it
yeah.
Ashley?
Frig, what's her last name?
but she's a great voice actress. So I think she can handle an accent if you need to do that, but she knows voice acting.
Eckstein?
Yes,
Eckstein?
Ashley Eckstein.
Eckstein.
Yeah, so she has her universe, those type of things. She's a seasoned voice actress. Same thing there with a Link. You can bring in and I'm trying to think of like really someone who can nail a Link voice. Considering we don't have anything to judge it by, but I think of like this is going to be probably probably not loved, but the voice actor who does Spider-Man throughout several
Mm,
different projects, I think he can nail different voice aspects, nails it well, and potentially could pull off an English accent. I don't know. Does Link need to have an English accent? I don't know. Nobody knows. Does Zelda? I don't
yeah.
know. That's what they've given her. So if it's English, maybe you go with an English voice actor like Freddie Highmore, who
Oh,
is
yeah.
a famous actor who has a very light, slight tone. So maybe he could
Mhm.
do Link in a very seasoned way. And then I think, since it's animated, you don't have to worry about the age of the actor. I think
Yeah.
you bring in Clancy Brown or Ron Perlman to do Ganon,
Oh, hell yeah.
because I think they have
Yep.
gravitas. I mean, if Lance Reddick was still around, obviously rest in peace. I think he'd be fantastic. But I think one of
Yeah.
those actors would be phenomenal, and they know how to voice characters. So I think that would be
Oh, yeah.
no choice about that. And then you bring in someone goofy, and to do your Tingle and different characters like that. So that's what
Yeah.
I would do. And like I said, Mark, I would love a series that would be happily fine with doing a season for each game in the franchise.
Yeah. That'd be
Like
amazing.
the manga books, because there's manga books that are out there that have like their story that my son read about each game.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, those are good. Um, I've read a couple of those. And it's funny when you said Spider-Man voice actor, I thought just to be a
Yuri, I
smartass, I
think
was
his
going to
name's.
scream out. No, I was going to scream out Jake Johnson, just to be an
That would
ass.
be awesome.
And I know, like you were thinking of
New
like from
girl.
the video games, they'd be Yuri Lowenthal.
Thal. Yeah.
But Jake Johnson, I was gonna Peter Parker from the Spider-Verse movies,
Hey,
like
look
the
at me
older
here. I'm wearing
right, yeah,
the
but like
robe.
could work as Tingle, right? Like he's
Yeah.
funny, he's goofy, he's
That
got
would
like
be a
a
good one
kind of
for
like
Charlie Day.
standout kind of voice, or yeah, that kind of like. But see, would you cast Luigi in a Mario movie? I don't know. So that's why I'm going Jake Johnson
Yeah.
for Tingle.
Yeah.
Don't know if like he might even work in live action actually.
Yeah,
Like
I can
anyone that's
see.
wearing like the spandex, green spandex is just gonna look ridiculous anyway. It doesn't really matter. Like
Didn't
you could
Charlie Day wear
cast
the
some
green
like
spandex and It's Always Sunny? The
oh
green
Frig
screen
probably
man? I
yeah
think so.
yeah.
It's a
Um,
callback.
and you could even I mean you could even go like just shove someone goofy, but like was it John Hamm? Just like some traditionally handsome, but like just have him like shoved in a leotard for no reason and just be like, "Hey, I'm Tingle. Like, what's going on? I'm a very handsome man. Why are you doing this to me?" And it's but like he seems like the kind of guy that'd be just up for that. He just seems like he's a weird, really weird kind of like goofy. Um, yeah.
Hey, Mark, I need to pause for a second. My family just came. We'll wrap this up really quick. I'll pause it. All right. So we've made the perfect films, Mark. We've made the perfect TV series. So
Oh yeah.
congratulations. We are waiting
Go
for
us.
Nintendo to give us a call. Good job, everybody.
Give us a call.
Yeah. So if everyone who's listening to this has ideas on what they would like to see from the Legend of Zelda films, let's not bag too much in a movie. We don't know what's going to happen, but let us know what you would love to see. We'd love to hear it. So,
Absolutely.
Mark, we're done. We've gone through
Woo.
this cavalcade of great creative energy. We talked about what we've been playing, all the news. It's been a fun ride. So, Mark, tell people where they can find you around the interwebs.
You can find me hanging out in our Discord channel. And like Todd said, I want to hear like as many ideas as possible. I mean, if people really want to start, we'll start our own little like channel for this in the Discord because I just want to like just pop off on like Zelda ideas. But you can drop in just the video game channel until it gets too crazy. But you can find me hanging out in there. You can find me on all the social media platforms as _Canardian or on Xbox and Switch as Canardian.
You can follow me at Toxtra on both Twitter and Threads, at Secret Friends U on Twitter, and Secret Friends Unite on Threads. Also, Spartyon98 on Xbox and Switch, and Spartyon1998 on PSN. So, with that, Mark, thank you for joining me on this journey into the world of video games. And remember, folks, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.